It's more challenging than ever to meet the demands of competing priorities that work throws our way. From emails to reports and project proposals, we need help to get it all done. Grammarly is the essential AI communication assistant that boosts your productivity at work so you can get more of what you need done faster, no matter what or where you're writing. Grammarly sets the standard for responsible AI and equips you with the best tools to do your job, like AI-powered features that help you write and edit quickly everywhere you write, or tone features that help you communicate more confidently. Just a few clicks can tailor your tone and writing so you come across exactly as you intend. No wonder 93% of professionals report that Grammarly helps them get more work done. Let Grammarly take the busy work off your plate so you can focus on high-impact work. Download Grammarly for free at grammarly.com/podcast. That's grammarly.com/podcast.
Unplug your cleaning routine with the Ryobi 18-volt ONE+ cordless cleaning lineup. From the soap-dispensing telescoping power scrubber to the advanced stick vacuum, Ryobi has a solution for every cleaning task. One battery powers over 300 products, giving you the power to do more. Exclusively at the Home Depot.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Wednesday morning. Tune is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. It's a numbers game with Gill Alexander. That's me. Kelley Bydlon's to my right. That's him. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Just doing great.
I need the draft to get here because I need to stop making bets. Just get here. Let's pick the picks so we can move along. Every day there's a different story.
It's weird these days, like especially this week, because we're up really late watching NBA and stuff like that. But I had that moment like driving in this morning, and I'm like, the draft is tomorrow already.
Tomorrow we can finally say that.
Happen?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you're also like, I feel like we've been talking about the draft for 7 straight weeks. When obviously that's not true.
And when I step back, and just because I didn't step back, when I was driving in this morning, this is true, I was thinking to myself, do you have any idea what's going to happen after 2? And the answer is, I have no clue.
No idea.
No idea. And we sort of threw it in about Drake May yesterday. We were like, he specifically is the guy that you could, no idea.
He could go. He could go
idea.
Second or not in the first round tomorrow, and I don't know if I'd be surprised, Gill.
It feels like an Aaron Rodgers drop kind of thing when Aaron Rodgers dropped. Yeah. I don't know. Not to compare him to Aaron Rodgers, but you get the idea. Aaron Rodgers went, 24th that year? The year that Alex Smith went number 1. We will talk NFL draft with Will Hill. JVT, in addition to the NBA, will have some NFL draft thoughts, as will Sia Nejad, who will talk golf with us, but he too will have NFL draft thoughts. David Syversten, senior draft analyst at Our Lads Scouting Services, will join us as well, Kelley, to talk NFL draft, how he thinks this is going. And then there's Jason Weingarten, who, for God's sakes, who knows what he'll talk about, maybe even taking a new DEI job somewhere like he talked about last time. I don't know. Before we get into all of that, including the NBA with JVT, let me get the Guardians portion out of the way, because if you allow me to talk Guardians, I may go on for 2 hours. So let's get it on right here. Guardians win yesterday. For those who have either jumped on this bet with me, and I know there's a lot of you who have, and also to those who have been so kind to say they're not even involved, but they're rooting us on. Thank you to you. Love you for that. Guardians win, come from behind win over the Red Sox yesterday, 4-1. That brings them to 17-6. So again, the initial handicap, those 17 games against the Oakland Athletics, 7 of them, the White Sox 3, and the Red Sox 7. Why the Red Sox in that group? I rated the Red Sox worse than most people did, so I threw them in that group, and I thought those were the 17 games they had to make hay on, and they have. They're 12-3 now, with 2 of those games remaining today and tomorrow against the Red Sox. But, Kelley, that's the good news. The Guardians control their own destiny, 6 games left. That's the good news. The bad news is this ain't over, because they got those 6 games left, and the Braves and the Yankees just won't go away. Braves specifically.
Go away, Braves and Yankees.
Go away. Braves are 16-6. The Yankees are 16-8. They are the only 2 teams within 1 win of the Guardians. Now, remember, the rules are different here at Circa. The tiebreaker is fewest losses if you end up with the same amount of wins, and then the second tiebreaker is run differential. The Guardians have the edge in run differential by 12 over the Braves and are tied with the Braves for the fewest losses. So the tiebreakers look good. Now, if it's at DraftKings, it's a dead heat. And this would be, let's put it this way, if we won this and you got dead heated, that'd be a sucky thing to get that math taken from you. But here's the deal, and I just want to couch it this way right now. I'm going to say that the 2 games tonight and tomorrow are, and we can say this about all 6 games, obviously, but tonight and tomorrow specifically to me are monster. And here's why. Follow me here. Remember when I went through the path earlier, I said this was a series they had to go 2-1 in, at least. If they can go 3-0, it would be ideal, meaning winning today and winning tomorrow. By the way, thank goodness we didn't get rained out yesterday. We were literally dancing through the raindrops. I don't know if they were dancing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
But they just got that game in. Whew, thank goodness.
I've been checking the scores. I was texting you. I've been checking the scores each night, but I forgot we were talking about rain on the show
I thought
yesterday.
all day it wasn't going to get played and we were going to have a doubleheader today, but they got it in, and the Guardians won it 4-1. So here's the deal. If the Guardians can somehow win today and tomorrow, that would make them 19-6. Let's assume the Braves beat the Marlins. That would make them, and they don't play tomorrow, that would make them 17-6. So now, remember this. The only team that has been unluckier than the Guardians who not only lost a game to rain in Minnesota, but also lost their ace Shane Bieber to Tommy John surgery, is the Braves. The Braves lost their ace to Tommy John surgery, Spencer Strider, and they lost 2 games to rain that aren't going to get rescheduled in the framework of the bet March and April wins. So if the Guardians, I'm about to say we, Kelly, I'm just borrowing them for the month, Adam Burke. If the Guardians can go up 2 wins with the same amount of losses, heading into what we always knew to be the hard part of this schedule, the last 4 games at 3 at Atlanta, and the last one at Houston, and then the month of April ends. That's why it's only 1. But if you can go up on the Braves 2 in the win column, heading into that 3-game set at Atlanta, essentially what it gives you against the Braves is the cushion to only go 1-2 in that series and still have the edge over Atlanta heading into your last game. So what it does is, unless you get swept, it cushions you from a somewhat disaster, right? So if you go 1-2, you still have the edge over the Braves. And then you say, yeah, but Gill, what about the Yankees who still have 16 wins? You're right. The Yankees are still a problem because the Yankees have 1 more game to play than the Guardians do. But here's the deal with the Yankees. After these 2 games against the A's today and tomorrow, then they've got 5 at Milwaukee and at Baltimore, total 5 games. And you got to figure that in those 5 games where they're at Milwaukee and Baltimore, those teams are all going to beat up on each other. So I think, getting back to the original point, tonight and tomorrow are the most monster of all monstrosity for the Guardians, for the reasons stated. I think if you can somehow obviously, got to win at least one of them, going back to the 2-1 in this series to move this along. But if you can win both of those and sweep the Red Sox and get us to 14-3 in those 17 games and have that 2-win edge over the Braves, knowing what the Yankee schedule is coming up, despite your schedule, it will be such a great position to be in. So just absolutely huge today and tomorrow.
Any thoughts of taking, I don't know, over what are they got? Over 2-1 on the A's and stuff like that, playing the Yankees right now. Braves got a soft schedule. Just to hedge a little bit off of it.
I'm not playing those. Not touching them. I'm not.
That's what I figured. Just bring it up.
Nope. Let's not pollute this. It's too early to even think about other things like that. But this has gone as well as possible so far. 6 games left, though. Nothing is certain. Let's go to the NFL draft because one bit of big news, at least from the rumor mill, happened last night, and it's from our own Michael Lombardi. Did you catch this, Kelly?
I did. Would you like? You want to hit the sort-of-ish breaking news first?
Oh, what's the sort of breaking?
Reggie Bush got his Heisman Trophy back.
Reggie Bush got his Heisman Trophy back, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't expect to wake up this morning and see that.
Me either.
He got it back because essentially the Heisman committee said, because of enormous changes in the college football landscape, here's your Heisman back. And what they really mean, of course, is, I get it, you were NIL before NIL was allowed, but now since NIL is allowed, here you go. My question, as I said off air, was this. Okay, if that's the case, if you're giving Reggie Bush's Heisman back, shouldn't USC get that championship reinstated too? Like, BCS, could you come back? We need an emergency meeting. I know it's been 20 years. Come on back. We need to give them their championship back.
It was a great initial question by you. I had to go down the rabbit hole, and you're like, oh yeah, we got to get the BCS Presidential Oversight Committee back together. And I don't know how we're going to be able to do that to get USC their championship back. I mean, that has to happen, though, right? Like, you can't do this with Reggie Bush.
It was stupid then. It's even
right,
stupider now.
Yes.
It's all this taking away championships was nonsense.
I kind of feel like the Reggie Bush Heisman thing's like a little bit like the Sixers-Knicks like last 2-minute report, where you're like, you don't really need to make this public.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just
the
like,
last 2-minute report, meaning we were wrong. Tyrese Maxey got fouled not once but twice.
Right, yeah, we were wrong about 4 things, by the way.
Well.
But like, shouldn't it just be like, hey, Reggie Bush, here's your Heisman, and here's like $10 million for us like hurting your life and likeness and career over the past 20 years?
Kinda, yet they're not going to go that far. But anyway, good for Reggie Bush. Get your Heisman back. Okay, so Bill 80 does the newsletter. Your Bill's late nights become your early mornings, Kelley. I don't know if you know that. And he writes the joy of 6 quarterbacks. So he's talking about he had a bunch of meetings on Tuesday. This is Bill talking now, right? And he looks at his inbox, and he's got Michael Lombardi's email. And Michael Lombardi wrote a column on the Cowboys, prospects that they need, positions they need this offseason. And then Bill said he gets to the last paragraph, and Michael writes this. I am sold on the quarterbacks going early and believe there will be 6 in the first round. I don't believe 6 are worthy, only that teams need answers at the most important position. 6, Bill says. So, Michael Lombardi, by the way, coming here to Las Vegas to be on our draft coverage. And Bill sees him at Circa, and he goes, hey, what's the deal with the 6 quarterbacks? And Michael says, quote, yes, I have a good source that Bo Nix will go in the first round. Then he asks, Michael Penix Jr. too? Lombardi says, yes. So that makes 6, along with Caleb, Jaden, Drake, and JJ. First name basis, by the way.
You're tight with them.
Yeah, so, all right, total quarterbacks in the first round, which I have an under on. I'll be wrong about that if that's the case. But over is what, like $3 again? Knicks, 32.5. I think the under was plus money, at least as of this morning. Penix is also set at 32.5 draft position. His under is heavily juiced.
The 4.5 number does keep fluctuating a bit, huh?
Oh, it's been up and down. But if you buy into what Lombardi is saying, if you believe him and his sources, it's going to be 6. Which gets
I got no idea. I mean, we talk about it all the time. We're about to talk to JVT. He is very anti the whole talk of going back in the first round. I think once again, it's a draft that makes sense where that could happen, but I don't know, and it hasn't happened as much as we like to think it does.
Getting back to the original point, I have no idea what's about to happen after 1 or 2. I'm sold on Jaden Daniels to Washington. I know others aren't.
I mean, same with, we're talking about May earlier, but same with Knicks and Penix, right? Like, I don't know if I'd be surprised if they went at 15th or, like, in the 4th round.
I'm starting to feel like this is a draft where, like, I'm going to need Alt to go 5 just so I can erase some of the other bets kind of thing. I mean, it could be a spectacular draft. It could be a sucky draft. I have no idea right now after 2. That's the latest rumor. JVT next on the draft in the NBA.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Experience the thrill of the NFL Draft with VSiN's exclusive coverage on Thursday. That's tomorrow, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, with VSiN primetime host Tim Murray, Jonathan Von Tobel, and special guests Mike Golick Sr. and Mike Golick Jr. as they dive deep into the draft prospects and predictions. Stay locked in for a special edition of the GM Shuffle at 8 p.m. Eastern, where former NFL exec Michael Lombardi and Femi Abebefe bring you real-time analysis of the first-round picks. Michael will give his thoughts on every draft pick and trade as they happen. Watch this special edition of the GM Shuffle on VSiN, DraftKings Network, or on VSiN's YouTube page. Cap off the night at 11 p.m. Eastern with VSiN Tonight, where they'll wrap up all the first-round action. Find all your NFL draft betting insights, including Matt Human's mock draft, by the way, as well, at VSiN.com/draft. Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon, live here at Bar Canada at the D. We get tweets real quick. Ben McGovern, I have no skin in the game of the Guardians bet, but I'm rooting for you guys. Take it down. Thank you, Ben. Stringfellow Hawk, riding with you, Gilly, at DK. Can you give a crash course in dead heat rules? Yeah, dead heat rules. Essentially, you let me give you the exact thing. Is you're dividing.
Take your stake and divide it by however many guys you tie.
If you have 3 winners, you have to divide it by 3 in terms of what you're, if you had won it all by yourself, if you're tied with 2 other people, you have to divide it by 3. But then I think you also have to subtract your stake. That's where it gets ugly.
There's also the crash course in dead heat rules, and then there's the real crash course in dead heat rules when you finally hit one.
Oh, and then you find out.
Yeah, then you're like, well, I didn't know this happened.
The real life crash course is the worst the first time it happens. And then BP futures bet. I'm not in on the Guardians bet, but I have Tanner Houck on my fantasy team, so I was hoping for a quality Houck start And the late Guardians win last night. Bingo. Best of luck with this one. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. And Tanner Houck was good. Not quite as unbelievable as he was the first time, that's for sure, when he faced the Guardians. He is our senior NBA analyst. He is the co-host of VSiN Primetime with Tim Murray. He is Jonathan Von Tobel, everybody, at MeJVT on Twitter, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. JVT, let me start with the draft. First of all, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
I ended the last segment by talking about this latest Michael Lombardi rumor that he believes he has a source that says all six quarterbacks are going in the first round. Your thoughts, sir?
I mean, Lombardi, obviously, I always say this with anybody, not even just Lombardi, right, Gill, which is I think anybody talks to is probably hearing exactly what they're reporting, right? I don't think there's any lying going on whatsoever. It's just what's the accuracy of what you're hearing. And I feel pretty confident in being where I'm at in terms of under 4.5 quarterbacks. And, Lombardi even notes, like, he doesn't think these guys are worth first-round picks, right? Yeah. And yet they're going to go in the first round. And what I've always found interesting about whether it's Lombardi's reporting or anybody else's reporting of that matter when it comes to Penix and Nix, it is always the caveat of, I don't think these guys should be first-round picks, but I think they're going to go in the first round. And I'll take you back to the Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett draft. We heard the whole time leading up to the draft that, we don't think any of these guys are worth first-round picks, but we're going to set the number at 3.5. We think 4 are going in the first round. When that ended up happening, one guy went in the first round. So I still feel relatively confident that we're only getting 4 guys in.
Okay, before we get to the NBA, so your favorite bets that you have are under 4.5 quarterbacks at big plus money. I think you said plus 260, and what else?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm going to pull them up right now. So that one, I've got over 9.5 offensive linemen going in the first round at minus 140. That would be one of the ones that I do have. I've got Tennessee Titans to draft an offensive lineman with their first pick. That would be at minus 300, as well as, here we go, J.J. McCarthy over 5.5 plus 140. Latu under 21.5 at even money. We said total quarterback, set offensive lineman, and Dallas Turner to go 8th overall plus 340. I think those are the 6 that I'm going to kind of go into battle with.
Wow, plus 340. Solid on Dallas Turner. Whether it happens or not, a solid number at this point. Okay, let's go to the NBA. You will be part of the draft coverage tomorrow night, so people can look forward to that. NBA, let's start with the 4 series that are 2 games to nothing, including a couple that resulted in that last night. So of those 4 teams that are down 2-0, of those 4 teams, Philly being perhaps the one that leaps off the page. But let me just ask you, are any of the teams that are down, would you make a series bet on them right now?
I mean, I think Philly's got to be the one, right? Like, so if we go to, I think the next obvious answer would be Phoenix, but I'm somebody that didn't really buy into Phoenix coming into this postseason. I thought they were overvalued, much as the market did with them last season when they were favored over the Denver Nuggets and ended up losing that series in 6 games. So I think Philly, when you look at the way this goes down, and it's funny, we talked to Mo Tequila of The Athletic yesterday, Gill, and he brought this up, which is Philadelphia's got to be frustrated because for the most part, if you look at it, their game plan is working, right? Like they're defending Jalen Brunson the right way. They're doing everything they're supposed to do. And yet these little things keep working against them when you talk about the foul calls at the end of the first game, the unreal shooting, or excuse me, in the second game, the unreal shooting that the Knicks had in the first game. And you can kind of look at this and go, I think you kind of stick by your game plan if you're Philly and just trust that home court holds out because home court is worth something, as we're kind of seeing here in the postseason. Some numbers would indicate. And then you go back to New York and you got to steal one. And you have the best player on the floor in terms of talent in Joel Embiid. So I think it's Philadelphia. And I know a lot of people might freak out about a 2-0 series lead. But again, you lose both of those on the road. You come back home. You take care of home court. You go back all knotted up 2-2, and it's the best 2 out of 3. So I don't think you're too worried about it. I mean, look, my team, they're down 1-0, or excuse me, they're tied 1-1. The Clippers have had plenty of series in which they've gone down 2-0 and ended up winning those series. The year they went to the Western Conference Finals, the first 2 series that they played, they were down 2-0, and they ended up making it to the final round of the Western Conference playoffs. So I don't think you're freaking out too much. If you believed in Philly, I think that you're coming in here on a little bit of a plus price on a team that you would argue is a little undervalued by the market. So, yeah, I think it's Philly, no doubt.
Okay. Since you bring up the Clippers, let's get to them. Last night, the Mavericks knot up the best of 7 first-round series at 1 game apiece. Luka shouting at the crowd over and over when he hits the dagger 3 late. Kawhi Leonard's insertion into the lineup. And by the way, JVT, let me just tell you, when the Clippers are playing, I am thinking about you. I'm like, I'm going through your emotions. But Kawhi looked really kind of bad yesterday, didn't he? Like, does that worry you that the insertion of him into the lineup might actually be a net negative here in the short term?
I mean, I think maybe in the first game, right? And I thought he did start to look a little bit more comfortable as he went down the stretch, right? He had a really powerful offensive rebound and a putback in the third quarter. They had that nifty play drawn up for him that looked like he was going to get an and one to cut the deficit to 2. And instead, of course, they ruled that it's not a foul. So he started to look a little bit more comfortable as the game went along. So I think that now as you look at it with a game under your belt after missing 9, right, essentially a month, 2 days off to get ready for a road game, I think that's where you start to get a little bit more like, okay, maybe he's going to get back. But I don't think there's any doubt, especially in that first half. Didn't really look comfortable. Didn't look comfortable on the knee. Was like, hey, do I test it? What do I do here? His shot was off. But I think playing that game and then getting 2 to get ready for a road game is going to feel like he's going to help them more often than not. A player of that caliber should help you out in the long run.
Okay, for someone landing on this series now, would you advocate a bet on the Clippers at plus 130 to win the series? How would you play it? Game 3, by the way, the line that has been established is the Mavericks by 3.5 in Game 3 back in Dallas.
Yep. I mean, look, I think that the Clippers are a little undervalued. You can make the argument through these 2 games, Gill, like they've played really well defensively. Their offense has just been pretty poor, but consecutive offensive ratings of 105.5 for the Dallas Mavericks. Last night, they busted out a very solid game plan of doubling Luka, making everybody else beat them, and it looked like maybe it was going to be successful. They've held them down pretty solidly throughout these 2 games, and at the very least, they have the better offensive performance through 2 games. That was, of course, in Game 1. So you're starting to see maybe that there is something that's working here, but I would say as somebody who just came into this, right, with the futures ticket on somebody who thinks that the Clippers were undervalued, I would generally advocate for yes. Like, I think the Clippers are a little undervalued. We saw last night market opened up 4, came off of that kind of quickly. We're at 3.5 across the board. There's some agreement there, of course, with Kawhi Leonard back 2 and more comfortable. I would say yes. Like, if you're just dropping in, I do think the Clippers are a little bit more live than the general consensus would be. But of course, I'm like, what's the meme with everybody in the pitchforks and the torches, and it's just me in the middle of all of them. It very much feels that way. But I do think that there is some value here on an undervalued Clippers team.
If the Clippers had won, I was going to ask you, how many times do you scream, like, with your kids next to you, like, yeah, told you? Like, that was just that's
my wife. Well, my kids go to bed they're about in bed by about 8:30. So it would the victim is my wife, who sits there and tries to read a book on the couch while I'm sitting there like shaking her. And when they went up by 6 points, and I was sitting there, you're like, let's go, Norm. After Norm hit the 3-point shot. But I knew. I even told her after he hit that I calmed down. I was like, they're going to lose this game. And sure enough, they did. So
she's like, I married this. All right, tonight, yep. Celtics by 14.5 over the Heat. Game 2. Thunder 7.5. Game 2 over the Pelicans. Any thoughts? Any bets?
I think you're going. So I'll say this really quickly for the Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't fault anybody for wanting to take the points with New Orleans. Not so much just because of the base result, like, hey, they didn't cover. The Pelicans grabbed 35.6% of their missed shots, guys, in that game. They had 18 offensive rebounds, had second chance opportunities. That's not something that's generally going away against an Oklahoma City Thunder team, as we've talked about a lot, is somewhat small and is going to have trouble keeping teams off the board. But the real thing to watch out for, guys, and the market has adjusted a bit here, Josh Giddey only had 20 minutes in that first game. For Oklahoma City. He is a guy that you could put your center on, that you could play off of defensively. You don't have to worry about him spacing the floor. I think we're going to start to see his minutes dwindle here in this series, and you're still looking at points, rebounds, and assists at about 21.5. He might be worth playing under in this series until you see a real solid adjustment, because I think he's going to get played off the floor. And a guy like Cason Wallace is going to be a guy that's going to take some of those minutes from him.
I actually texted in a group chat. I'm like, wow, Giddey gets no crunch time play at all. Like, he's not even a thought. Yeah. Tomorrow night, since we won't be able to talk to you before them, Magic by 2 in Game 3 over Cleveland, trying to get off the schneid. Sixers by 4.5 over the Knicks. Lakers by 1. Your knee-jerk as best bet there is?
That would be this Philadelphia 76ers.
Laying the points there. Game 3, getting back. Getting on the board, I should say, in this series, down 2-0 to the Knicks. JVT, we look forward to the draft coverage tomorrow night, man. Thank you so much.
Guys.
Jonathan Von Tobel, everybody, and me, JVT. VSiN Primetime, weeknights, 6 p.m., right here at the network. We'll come back. So much to discuss. Baseball, NFL draft next with Will Hill.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hey, don't miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in tournament through the finals, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code VSiN. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code VSIN, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. We get tweets at Beating the Book. This is from Nash, last name Nash. He says, I don't know what's more exclusive in 2024, getting information on an NFL team's draft board or finding a top-notch sushi place in Vegas. Sam Ginsberg.
When's Jerry Jones going to tweet out the picture of their draft board? Come on. That we were waiting on that. That will happen during the first round.
By the way, I probably should have stipulated that that rumor about there being, Lombardi saying he's got the intel, 6 quarterbacks are going in the first round. I'm still under 4.5, and I'm not changing that. I'm just sticking on that bet. I'm not betting accordingly. Sam, to that news. Sam Ginsberg. I was also thinking about George Allen trading all the draft picks to get veteran players. Anytime I hear a reference to George Allen, I'm reminded of the Jack Kent Cook quote as Skins team owner. We gave George an unlimited budget, and he exceeded it. The late, great Jack Kent Cook, he always had great lines. When they won their first Super Bowl, he goes, okay. First thing out of his mouth, he goes, do we get to keep this trophy? First thing he said. Larry Fresh. Oh, he's imagining the conversation I just had with Will. Gill, is that velvet or velour? Will, you know what they call a guy that pays that much attention to his clothes, right? Gill, an adult. That conversation did not exactly happen that way. Ladies and gentlemen, and again, we apologize to Sparty KY, Jason, who is sick and tired of talking about the draft. But Sia Nejad is here to talk golf with us. But yes, we will ask him about his NFL draft bets as well. He comes to us courtesy, of course, of the Progressive Guest Line. Sia, for those who don't know, on Twitter, at Sia Nejad, Sianejad, pardon me. Host and analyst for Monumental Sports Network in D.C. Sportsline. What's happening, Sia?
What's going on, fellas? Listen, I come here armed and prepared for Zurich picks, but I know it's kind of like a down week in golf. So we've got that, but I love that we've got the NFL draft coming up tomorrow, 24 hours. That's amazing.
You are not allowed to be on the show today without having NFL draft bets. I think that's the rule. First, though, Zurch Classic bets. Unlike some other golf bettors, looking at the guy next to me.
Yeah, took the week off. All you see
this guy over here. This is a different format, but that did not deter you from making bets. First, explain the format.
Yeah, the format is a team format. So you've got 160 players, which sounds like a lot, right? But it's 80 teams. It's pairs, which I think can be exciting for some people. I think the problem is the way the setup is and the lack of like big time players. I think that's part of the reason why you don't see a lot of fanfare for this. But you've got teams, 80 teams here, and you've got top 33 in ties that make the cut. So the format in terms of the structure, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think this is the important part. So it's best ball for day one for Thursday, which means, let's say Xander Schauffele can't lay their pair. Each of them play their ball. If one gets a birdie, the other gets a par. Birdie is going to be their score on that hole. So that's what best ball is. Then on Friday, it goes to alternate shot where Xander hits it off the tee, Cantlay hits the approach, Xander, if they're on the green, hits the putt, and so on and so forth. You're alternating. That's going to be sort of the harder setup where you'd like to have two really good players in that type of setup. And then it goes back to best ball and then alternate shot Saturday and Sunday. So that's the format of it. We've got some heavy hitters at the top, obviously, with Schauffele and Cantlay and Zalatoris and Theegala and Rory McIlroy's in this tournament, which is pretty cool, and Shane Lowry. And then it gets to a lot of, lesser names once you get past Morikawa and Kitayama.
Schauffele just daring his wife to give birth, just daring her at this point. He's like, I'm playing all this stuff.
Scheffler.
Well, you're
Scheffler.
referring to Scotty Scheffler.
I'm sorry. I said Schauffele. My bad. Scheffler's sitting this one out, thankfully.
Yeah, exactly.
Schauffele and Cantlay are the short shots here. Who did you bet outright, though?
I went with a couple longer shots. Like, listen, this isn't going to be a card that's going to be as full as a normal card because there's just so much variance. And I think that's really illustrated by Davis Riley and Nick Hardy winning last year. Like two guys who I guess you could make the argument were kind of good course fits. I think they were around 80-1 last year. But long story short, they weren't even coming in with good form. So it was a huge surprise. Granted, favorites do tend to win this tournament as well. But I went with one of the favorites. They were plus 1,000. Now they're kind of down in the plus 850 range, plus 700, depending on where you look. Will Zalatoris, Sahith Theegala. I mean, Sahith Theegala is playing better than most players on the PGA Tour, including most of the players that are in this tournament. And Will Zalatoris, he's been a little up and down. I was a little discouraged by his off-the-tee play and his putting over the last few tournaments. But overall, he's a great player, obviously. He's great on approach. I think these two players complement each other really well. We know Sahith can get hot everywhere, including off the tee and with the putter. And that's kind of where Will Zalatoris has at least been a little shaky. So I think this is it. By the way, they're good friends, too. So I think this is going to be like two guys walking the course for 4 days that are going to be very comfortable with each other, hopefully 4 days, as opposed to two. I've got one other one here, Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith. Taylor Pendrith is one of those guys I'd almost put him in the Davis Riley, Nick Hardy category as a guy that's kind of coming in with okay form, but I'm starting to see some flashes. And again, I put him in that other mold because he just hasn't been good for about a year. He missed a ton of cuts, but he's made 2 of his 3 cuts. He was good last week at Corrales. And Corey Connors, I think, complements him very well. Taylor Pendrith, really good off the tee, really good putter. Corey Connors, more of the ball striking variety that can be a little shaky with the putter. But if these guys get hot, I think plus 2,800 is a pretty good number, given that this field only has 4 or 5 prolific pairs.
And you added a tournament 3-ball as well.
Yeah, I mentioned Morikawa and Kitayama. I like them at plus 150. You can get this pretty much everywhere. Over the Højgaard brothers, that's Nikolai and Rasmus, who haven't been very good lately, and Hoagie and McNeely. Hoagie and McNeely actually have been good lately. Their metrics look really good overall over the last 4 or 5 tournaments. I think the issue I have here with them is I don't think they have the firepower that Kitayama and Morikawa have, especially considering how well Morikawa's played, particularly with the putter and with the ball striking really more off the tee there. But again, I'm getting plus 150 here in this 3-ball. It's not like it's a minus 110 number. So I think I'm getting the better pair with the better firepower, with at least nearly, if not better form than Hoagie and McNeely. I don't think the Højgaards are really going to be in this one too much. So give me Morikawa and Kitayama.
Xander Schauffele just called. He's like, my wife's pregnant? It's twice I've done that now. All right, and if you thought team golf would prevent Sia from doing first-round leaders, oh, you were mistaken. It's his bread and butter. What do you got here?
First-round leaders. We know this is an exact science every week. So, of course, it's even more exact of a science when you've got pairs involved. Please read the sarcasm here. We're just sprinkling here, okay? Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay. I really don't want to take them plus 400 in the outright market, but I will dabble on them in plus 1,200 in the first round. Keep in mind, again, this is best ball. So I'm getting their best efforts on each hole, plus 1,200 first-round leader. And then I'll give you 2 more. Corey Connors, Taylor Pendrith. I don't need to belabor the point on them, plus 3,500. I like that number. And then as a long shot, CT Pan and Kevin Yu. Kevin Yu does flash in first round. CT Pan has been good with the ball striking lately. I think these guys are good for 18, certainly not good for 72, but 50 to 1, I'm willing to speculate on those 2.
All right, Sia, you must pay the toll now and talk NFL draft with us. Caleb Williams goes first to Chicago. You're in D.C. Are they taking Jaden Daniels at number 2?
They are taking Jaden Daniels at number 2. I was shocked about a month and a half ago, Gill, when I was on this show. It was Drake May that was the favorite, and Jaden Daniels was like plus 130 or plus 140, and that's when I jumped on that one because, and I don't bet the draft super hard, don't get me wrong, but I was really shocked by that, and the tables turned pretty quickly. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the guy. Everything I'm hearing points to Jaden Daniels. I know we kind of had that little issue with the Top Golf thing, which honestly, when I say it out loud, sounds just completely ridiculous in all senses of that word.
It really
but
does.
The long and short of it is I do think Jaden Daniels is the guy. I personally love Jaden Daniels. And I've said this on this show before, too. I think Jaden Daniels could be or is better than Caleb Williams. So, again, I'm out on an island there. That's fine. I think there's a lot of overrated prospects in this draft. I think Jaden Daniels, as long as he can stay healthy, is one of the dudes, and I expect him to go 2 to the Washington Commanders.
I like it. Number 3, then. What do you think? Do you have any idea what happens at 3? What is your instinct at this point?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I think New England ends up going with a quarterback here. I could see them trading out of this pick as well, but I think they end up drafting a quarterback, and I think it's probably going to be Drake May here. So J.J. McCarthy getting a lot of buzz, but I think it's too high for J.J.
Did you make any bets here, Sia, at all? Did you make any bets in the NFL draft?
Yeah, on Jaden Daniels only. The only other one that I was really tempted to play was, and I think you're on the other side of this, was what was your quarterback bet? Because I think we could see another quarterback go after Drake May, after J.J. McCarthy in the first round. I think we could see – I think people are sleeping on Michael Penix Jr. personally. So it wouldn't shock me if he goes in the first round.
Yeah, I did under 4.5 because I just thought the number got way too high not to play. Like, I wasn't going to get involved. I wasn't going to get involved in number 2 either. But then when Jaden Daniels' number crashed, I was like, okay, I'm forced to bet. It's my obligation. Okay. I look forward to it. Thank you for that Jaden Daniels confirmation there as well. You believe, if you do think it's Michael Penix, though, where do you believe he ends up? Do you think the Raiders make the pick on him at 13? Really, 13?
No, but I could see the Raiders maybe trading back. Like, I do think we're going to see some trading down in this situation, or a team trading up from the second round to late first round so you can carry that fifth-year option. So don't be surprised if you get a team early second round trading into the late first round.
See, I think that's how it's going to go with quarterbacks. I think we're going to get McCarthy being the fourth, or Drake May being the fourth, whichever way that pans out. And then the Knicks, Penix, will there be a fifth? It's going to come late in that first round where someone is either going to trade in or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Sia, always great. Good luck with the golf. Good luck with the draft. We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Love being on the show. See you guys soon.
Sia Nejad, everybody. Jason Weingarten on the other side. Numbers Game VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Bar Canada at the D. Downtown Las Vegas. Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon, David Syversten standing by from our lads. We get texts, we get tweets, Kelley. We get both of them. Texts, this is from Michael Montesano, former guest here. Of course, not former guest, but guest often here on the show. And former guest.
Never allowed back on, Michael.
I didn't mean that, Michael. Former Booby Prize winner at Circa is what I meant to say. He said, I, too, need this draft to come. Based on Daniel Jeremiah's tweet about offensive linemen, I just took the over 9.5 offensive linemen. He says, I got to stop making bets too, LOL. Will Hill, commenting on the tribute to Howie Schwab, said, when I was a kid, I never thought anyone knew more sports than me. Then I watched that show. Talk about Howie Schwab. And we get tweets. Eric Berg, can't believe Gill skipped a Keon Coleman exhibition of football reference when going over Kelley's picks. It's so funny you mentioned that, Eric, because in my head, I was about to say one, but Kelley kept talking. So
I was on a roll.
He was on a roll. He kept talking. But what I was going to say was, did anybody tell Keon Coleman that this next year will actually Bainbridge DeWeese, as someone who hasn't been to Vegas in years, I'm curious, when you talk about shopping around or going all over town looking for a line, do you literally mean walking into 10 books or just checking 10 apps/websites? Great question. Checking 10 apps/websites is usually the answer.
Well, no, it's not. Just 10 apps, not websites.
No,
we don't have
not the websites.
We wish we had the luxury of pulling it up on our computer.
The 10 apps part.
Why do you think we complain about the phone apps so much? We're on our phone for 30 minutes trying to make one bet.
Bainbridge, when this state gets legalized sports betting, it is going to be something.
Watch out.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the senior draft analyst at Our Lads Scouting Services. You can follow him on Twitter at OurLads_SY. David Syversten joins us. Dave, great to meet you, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line, by the way.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, guys. We're coming down the home stretch for the NFL draft, something that we've been doing a ton of work on for over 12 months now. It's an 18-month process now, a.k.a. we've already started next year's draft prep. So it's crazy how fast it comes, how long it comes, and then how fast it disappears as well. Really excited about the next few days.
Let me just start by saying, echoing the conversation we just had off air, which is, hey, I said to Dave, just meeting him, I go, you know what I use Our Lads for? And I figured he would have no idea what I use Our Lads for, and you immediately shot back.
The depth charts.
Depth charts. That's what and you said that's your bread and butter there.
That's the Our Lads bread and butter. That's actually how I started off working for them, and that's usually kind of like a rite of passage to be an analyst and scout for Our Lads Scouting. That's where they start. I started off on the ACC depth charts. We do college as well, and they're really important, and you have to take a lot of pride in them. And there's no shortcutting it. Every player, every height, every weight, every hometown. That's how it starts, and then to the NFL level, it's just equally important, especially with the betting now, knowing who's out, who's in. And the only way to do it right is to be on top of it 24/7, 365. And that's what we do. That's why we have a strong reputation there.
Yeah. I thought I was like this secret, but that when I'm off air, when I'm on air, that Our Lads is exactly where I go. All right, David, let's start with this. What is your take on the first round that you would deem to be the most off of conventional wisdom right now? What do you believe is happening that most people don't anticipate is?
Oh, man. I believe that you're going to see two defensive players taken in the top 10. And it's a really common line that say, hey, only Atlanta is going to be going after a defensive player in the top 10. But I think there's a multiple teams that I would say it's more than coin flip direction that you're going to see 2 defenders taken in the top 10. As yes, it's a very top heavy draft when it comes to quarterbacks, offensive linemen, and wide receivers. But there's enough demand and there's enough supply to say that we've never seen 10 or even 9 players taken in the top 10 in the offense on offense in the NFL draft, and I don't see that trend being broken this year.
What is your instinct on the 3rd pick in the draft? If you believe it's Caleb Williams to Chicago, if you believe it's Jaden Daniels to Washington, what is your instinct at 3?
Drake May is my instinct. I personally have J.J. McCarthy graded above Drake May, and I do know the league loves wins and championships and winners and guys that respond to adversity, a.k.a. J.J. McCarthy losing in the playoffs in 2022 season, coming back and taking it all in 2023. I get all that, but I also think at the top of the draft, you see teams, we see this every year, Trey Lance a few years ago, teams are going to look at the talent and the ceiling of a quarterback and what he can do with his arm, and it's hard to get past Drake May, who probably does have the best pure arm talent on a frame that can remind some of Justin Herbert and Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen. Not the same style of play, but just the durability and the ability to win from the pocket. I think that's where it's hard for coaches to get away from that. So I think that's why he'll be the 3rd pick. You
mentioned that you had J.J. McCarthy over him in terms of your rankings. Can you rank those top 6 quarterbacks for us and the distance between them generally?
So we actually had Jaden Daniels as our quarterback 1 at our lads, and it's been that way since the fall. The separation between the two is not significant, but if you told me I had to pick one of them, Jaden Daniels is quarterback 1 for us. Caleb Williams is number 2. Number 3, J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, number 4. And then because of medicals, Bo Nix is ahead of Michael Penix. And when it comes to pure arm talent and what this guy can do on the field, Penix is the guy. He's a better quarterback. But those medicals, I would be scared. I would be very scared to put all my eggs in that basket. Season-ending injuries to shoulders and knees. And the one takeaway I have from A, meeting him, and B, talking to those that have interviewed him at the Combine, at the Senior Bowl, he is unbelievably thin-boned, is what we call it, meaning I don't know if he's going to be able to handle NFL defensive tackles and edge rushers landing on top of him and still able to get back up. I mean, I just don't know. The durability factor is a question with Michael Penix.
Just to clarify, when you say thin-boned, this is not some medical exam. This is a football analysis of it, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Not a doctor by any means, but it's just more how thin he is and the lack of potential to put more muscle mass on his frame. That's another way of looking at it. Like we do know a lot about body types and body structure. That is a huge part of the draft evaluation process. And I don't think Penix is a guy that you're going to see 10, 15 years from now with another 20 pounds on his frame. It's just not the way he's going to hold weight.
All right. I have 2 reactions to what you just said. One, I'm a Washington fan. Don't mess this up. Draft Jaden Daniels again, based on what David just said. And then the other one is this is why I love the under 4.5 quarterbacks bet. Not only because I don't think anybody who watched Bo Nix had a great last year in college football. I get it. But I don't think anybody watched him and was like, first round NFL pick. And then the Penix thing, which you're right, we don't harp enough on are the medicals. Like, how could a team, and again, even if you love the potential of that arm, and he got a great arm, even if you love it, how can you invest a first-round pick on a guy with so much uncertainty, right? That's the big bugaboo.
And I think even to build off that point is he barely got touched in his 2 years at Washington. And you can't count, Bo Nix as well. Those guys, I think, of all the quarterbacks in the country, they were touched. I think there's only 3 or 4 guys in the country that were touched less than them when it comes to pressure and sacked and quarterback hits. So it's almost like it kind of gave you this unrealistic hope that he's going to have that same kind of protection at the next level. So it's a risky move no matter what to use a first round pick on a quarterback. We see it's a coin flip right now. Quarterbacks that are taken in the top 10, and it gets even worse if you go in the 10 to 25 range. I've done studies on how many quarterbacks have actually had success that get drafted out of the top 10. The trends are unbelievably trending towards those quarterbacks almost never working out. You don't want to use the term never in any sort of scouting process because, every time you do, Brock Purdy comes out of nowhere and ends up being a starting quarterback after being Mr. Irrelevant. But, the trends and the amount of analytics that are taking over football decision-making both on the field and in the draft room, with all these guys coming from a finance background into the league. I think the trend is going to be stay away from Penix in round 1.
Can you rank your wide receivers at the top of the draft for us?
Yeah, so I'm a Marvin Harrison Jr. all-day guy, have been from day one. I know the flavor of Malik Neighbors and the big play potential is approaching that tier. I think they're graded very closely, but Marvin Harrison's much more polished. And Rome Odunze is kind of 1B and 1C to Malik Neighbors being right under Marvin Harrison. I think they're the equal grade. They're just different receivers, different players. So those are our top 3 receivers. And then I think Brian Thomas is a great consolation prize if you want one of those guys. But let's say Arizona or Los Angeles trades down with Minnesota and they miss out on one of those top 3 receivers. Brian Thomas is a guy that I think has a very similar upside to the 3 names that I already talked about. There's a little bit more unknown with him. He really only has 1 year of quality tape. But remember, this kid was a star high school basketball player. He was a little late to the scene on the gridiron, and we're starting to. He did things at the combine that we've seen happen 2 or 3 times since 2005. When you're talking about height, weight, speed, vertical, and by the way, he led the country in touchdowns. So we're not talking about just an athlete.
Significant drop after Brian Thomas?
I do think there's a significant drop because the rest of the guys that I can rattle off, Ladd McConkey, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, they're closer to round 2 than round 1 when it comes to my final grades. Guys that I think can have a lot of success at the next level, and a lot of wide receiver success depends on who's throwing them the ball, what scheme they're in. But I do believe those guys are just a hair under, and I wouldn't feel as confident using even like a top 20, top 25 pick on them.
Now that feeds into the under 6.5 wideouts thought. David, a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for that Jaden Daniels love. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to meet you guys.
David Syversten from Our Lads. Interesting. We'll come back. NBA next.
Ryobi now makes floor-to-ceiling cleaning easier than ever with cordless cleaning tools powered by 18-volt 1+ batteries. Whether it's a quick tidy-up or deep cleaning, our powerful and versatile tools make cleaning a breeze. Spend less time cleaning and more time enjoying your pristine home. And because one battery powers over 300 products, you have the power to do more. Visit ryobitools.com to learn more. Sold exclusively at the Home Depot.